Who here would like to give themselves a 20% raise? Ideally for doing no more work, right? Same amount of work, 20% more dough? Sounds good. Me likey. 0.5%, if you're charging, say, 2.5% per side, if you get an extra half point, you've just, times 2.5 times 0.2, that's 20%. That's your 20% raise, okay? Terry mentioned going from 7.3 to 7.5. Everybody has different commission models, but that's really all it takes. And it's not sleight of hand. This is all about the principle of value before cost. If people phone you and ask you what your commission is, you have to hold that back until you've presented the value, because cost is only ever an issue in the absence of value. If you haven't presented the value, right, we're all going to try and figure out a way to increase our fees and do it in a way that's ethical, do it in a way where we're coming from a place of service, but we want to offer more and therefore receive more in compensation for it. So why would you want to do this besides the opposite? Obvious. More money. Great. What other reasons might you want to go premium?
Clients get better experience.
Better clientele? You can do less deals for the same money.
Stand out from the competition.
It actually is a great differentiator. You said stand out. It's a great differentiator. If everybody's in a race to the bottom and you decide to go up, what does that say about you and your service? Personal satisfaction, love it. Yes, sir. More ability to market, which benefits both the client and you as a business owner. There's a lot of great reasons to go premium. Probably the biggest reason, though, in my opinion, is the conviction you have in yourself when you realize that you are now an elite level player. You are a premium service provider. You are no longer competing with all of the other agents who have chosen to commoditize themselves. If you offer what everybody else offers and you charge what everybody else charges, you are, in fact, a commodity. Point blank. That's it. You've commoditized it. There is so much price elasticity in this business. For the Okanagan Realtors, does anybody remember, I think I referenced him last year too, but does anybody remember a guy by the name of Rob Zeus? He came in 2006 and 7. He started charging 10% for luxury real estate. And he picked up like 100 listings in a few months' time. None of them sold. And he flamed out of the business in a spectacular way. However, what he proved to me was that there is a massive amount of price elasticity in this. He went with a listing presentation and promises of marketing and flying, Hollywood elites in on private jets and all the stuff that he talked about. But he proved that if you were willing to put enough value in front of the price tag, people would pay it or willingly list their house with that price tag attached to it. Unfortunately, he didn't understand how to price listings. That was the problem why they didn't sell. However, the point is still true. There is a massive amount of room in what we charge. There's no rule that we all have to charge the same. There's no such thing as standard. There's no such thing as any kind of price fixing. And the problem with the race to the bottom is as you participate in that race to the bottom, you have less and less resources to use to differentiate yourself. And so that is just a death spiral, till eventually we are commoditized to the degree that AI really can replace us. So the throughput on this whole event is to create an experience so good that it does the marketing for us. An experience so good that we're unforgettable. An experience so good that people are willing to pay a premium for it, for us to do the very same amount of work. So we're going to systemize it. You mentioned more marketing, more opportunity, right? If you're spending more on your listings to generate leads for the listings, you're also going to get more leads, more buyer leads for other properties, right? So having the money in the war chest means a lot. So charging enough to elevate the competition for the listings, but also charging enough that your actual lead gen budget comes from the money you're spending on your listings. More resources, you guys said this too, equals a better experience. Better experience comes from having people on the team that can do things that you don't have time to do. It comes from being able to afford to make bespoke experiences for your clients. This is where resources matter. And so you can't run a business that gives a premium level service if you don't have the resources to do it. So you need premium fees to provide premium level service. It's a fact of life. So if that's true, then what the heck is holding us back? First of all, who here has already taken the leap and is a premium service provider? 1, 2. Okay. What are you charging? 7 and 3.5. Right on. Do you get much pushback from it? A little bit? Okay. Worst case scenario, you're back to where you would have been?
7 and 3.
Right? Okay. We still pay 3.5 and 1.5. And Terry mentioned when he breaks it down, we just add one little couple words to it when we explain we say, so our compensation for everything you just heard tonight is 7 on the first 100, 3.5 on the balance. And you can see here, and I leave that line and I go down to the part where we're offering the co-op compensation. And you can see here, we offer a full 3.5 and 1.5. I really emphasize the word full so they understand that there's the benefit. And then I sound just initial down here. Boom, done. Right? And so this is what we charge, and we offer a full, which means you're going to have, the full cooperation of the entire, MLS. So, okay, we've heard a few people say they're doing this, right? The agents at my office are all doing it. The coaching clients that I have are doing it. So we know it's possible. So if we're not doing it, why not? And there's a litany of reasons, but I'm curious to hear what yours are. Why have you not raised your commissions yet?
I guess it's going with the flow, going with what people are looking for.
Got it. So he's going with the flow. What I'm hearing you say is I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I'm not looking to make this the focal point of the conversation. Let's just do what we're doing. Yeah? Okay? Okay, great. Competition is a big one. I think a lot of people would agree. Who would agree that competition is a major reason? Okay, good. That's fair. And that's good. You want there to be competition. Just know what you're competing on. Are you competing on price or are you competing on value? And that's when you have a conversation with a seller and someone else says they'll do it for less. You say, yeah, no, fair enough. There's a lot of realtors that'll do it for less. And to be fair, they probably should. And you just let that sink in for a second. Right?
My thought sometimes is, am I offering a premium service?
There you go. So that's touching on, I think, and thank you for your honesty, because I honestly believe that's the number one reason why agents don't give themselves a raise, is that they don't feel like they're offering something that is worth more than what other agents are offering, okay? Which means we're commoditized. So thank you for your honesty. That's what we're here to figure out, okay? So together we're gonna brainstorm, and you're gonna go off into groups, and you're gonna hear all these different wacky ideas, and I'm gonna really challenge you and stretch you, but some of these ideas are gonna stick, and you're gonna wanna use them. And then what we're gonna do at the end, after we go through day 2, is you're gonna come up with a premium service offering that is both high value and high touch. And by the end, you are gonna feel totally confident asking for an extra half point, completely. Cool? So what I want you to understand is that this is all in your head, okay? All of the reasons that you give for not charging a premium fee, they're in your melon. They're not real. Because I was just lucky that when I went to Terry's boot camp, I was still 20, and I didn't really have a real beat on the whole. I hadn't come up with all these ideas yet. It's like, 7 and 3.5 works? Fuck it, I'll do it. So we did it. And lo and behold, we did it. And I added it up the other day. We've made an extra $10 million over the course of my career by doing that. And it was just a decision. And I'll tell you something, I didn't make any change to my service offering. I just did it, and it worked. Did I get it 100% of the time? No. But I got it a lot. A lot. And you want to get it both on the listing side, but you also want to get it on the buy side. And I'm going to teach you how to do that. Now, what if they object? What if you get to the end of your presentation and you let them know what your fee is and they go, that sounds higher than the other stuff I've heard. Can you do it for less? Okay, that's what we're all scared of, right? That's the big fear. They're going to object to our commission. Okay, well, as Terry put earlier, your worst case scenario is you're back to where you started, what you would have asked for anyway. But now what you're getting an opportunity to do is to articulate your value, to demonstrate that you're worth the extra 0.5%, okay? And this is the key. You have to believe, and this is why when we go back to the ACE framework, you have to be convicted yourself that that investment, hear that word, investment of the 0.5 point is going to give your client a positive ROI over and above the other options that they have. Do you believe that? Do you believe if they stick an extra 0.5 point in you, they're going to walk away with 5, 10, 15 grand more in their jeans at the end of the day because of how you market their property, how you personally negotiate their property, and the experience that you give them along the way? Do you believe that you offer those 3 main value points? And if you do, you won't miss on these. You will never stand before a seller if you believe that in your being, that you are worth that 0.5 point and that they're making an investment. You're not charging them that. You're asking them to be brave enough to invest in the best. You got to believe that. which is why we're going to work together to shore up whatever, not worth issues, but whatever issues on the value side you feel like you might be lacking, because you can all go do this tomorrow. And if you do, just imagine the ROI you got on your $250 or $300 ticket if you go and make an extra 100 grand next year on account of raising your commission. So, the number one skill to allow you to feel worthy, and this is why it's so important to me that if you join my team or if you're in my coaching, that we hammer on this. It's negotiations. You have to be able to literally quantify that your buyers pay less and your sellers get more. And it's so easy. Get more than what? Just look at the stats, take the total sales volume for a month, 6 months, a year, however you want to do it, divide it by the average sold price, and you will get the list to sell ratio. And you'll be able to see that in the Okanagan, homes come together at roughly 97.1% of their list price. So the average discount is 2.9. Do your buyers get a discount of 3.4, 4.2, something like that? Do your sellers get 98, 98.5? If so, you can literally point to that and say, my sellers get 98.5% on average. The industry average says that homes will come together at a 3% discount. That's a 1.5 spread. I'm asking you to invest a 0.5 point for the delta of 1%. You're going to be on a house like yours, that's 1.2, you're 12K to the good because you have a professional negotiating. Oh, by the way, you're getting an opportunity to see how well I do that right now. Right? This is key. If you take the time to get good at becoming a professional negotiator. Now, to do that well, you can't hide behind text messages and DocuSign. You got to get kneecap to kneecap with people, and you got to be uncomfortable or be willing to make the other agent uncomfortable for a moment when you say to them, hey, we're going to have to get together at your office to present this face to face. And they'll say, no, just send that over. And you'll say, no, unfortunately, I've made a commitment to my purchasers that I will always present their offer in person. Now, the good news is, what I can tell you is, when we do this, it's going to way increase the chances of our deal coming together. It's going to save a lot of back and forth. So us investing 30 to 45 minutes at the outset is going to save us hours through the negotiation, and we're likely to be able to put this deal together inside of a couple of hours versus it spanning a couple of days, right? I'm not going to show up and browbeat you. I'm going to show up and make you look like a frickin' rock star in front of your client. I'm not there to grandstand in front of them. This is a collaborative process. But if we do it, I'm going to be able to make sure your clients know where my people are coming from. I'm going to make sure that I get a chance to justify their position, and I'm going to make them like me. They're going to make sure they know you've done a great job, and they'll make them like my clients. And that's why we're going to get together. And when you do that, and you make it a habit of doing that, I promise you, your deals will come together on the good side of the average, because the average realtor is not doing this. The average realtor is just scanning over the offer and hoping for the best. Would you agree? Who's guilty of doing that? Okay. Thank you for your honesty. But it is the core competency of what we do as agents. Negotiating is literally why they're hiring us. Put the gloves on and do it, but not in a way that's combative, not in a way that's adversarial, like I used to do when I was 20. Don't be a dick about it. Just make it collaborative, make the clients, connect the client to your client. Here's a little tip. If you can make the sellers see your buyers as them 10 years ago, 15 years ago, like they can't wait to come. It looks like you guys have raised a wonderful family here. My folks have got kids as well. They're really excited to, bring their kids up in this neighborhood. Now all of a sudden, their sellers are having this nostalgia feeling. They're suddenly connected to your buyers. Power. You go into a multiple offer situation, you can be 10K under the highest bid, you'll still get it because the sellers liked that narrative better. Happens all the time. Agents on my team, does that happen? All the time. This is the number one required skill. You've got to sharpen it up. And this will give you the feeling that you can charge, and it's an investment. It's the quantifiable piece. It's not qualitative. It's truly quantitative data. My buyers pay less, my sellers pay more. Okay. Now, to get it on the buy side is a little trickier. Okay. There's some things that have to be true in order for this to ever happen. Okay. With a listing agreement, everybody's used to sitting down with a seller and saying, this is what my fee is. But most of you are not using buyer's agency. Most of you are not having an initial game plan meeting with the buyers where you set proper expectations and you explain to them how you get paid and you explain to them what your services are in exchange for that. Who's doing that currently? Who's having a proper meeting? About 40% of the room, which is awesome because 3 years ago, it was like no one. So the fact that you guys are doing it, amazing. If you're not, unless you make that shift, unless you start having game plan meetings and you start signing people up front like you would a listing, you can't charge a premium side on the buy side. So you are relegated to only getting premium on the list side. My contention is you offer so much service to the buyers. There's so much price elasticity there as well. Go that extra step. And by the way, it's not more time. Nick and I talk about this all the time. You got to slow down to go fast. It doesn't take more time to slow the process down and do a game plan meeting. Even though that investment of 45 minutes, an hour and a half, however long it takes, feels like an extra step, it saves you so much time through the process. You set expectations correctly, you get in proper rapport, you get connected to their why, their reasoning for doing things, you get a chance to demonstrate your authority, your conviction, and your empathy all in 45 minutes to an hour. You now have taken the lead and now can safely lead them through the process. And oh, by the way, in exchange for that, we charge 3.5% on the first 100,000, 1.75% on the balance. Now, you will notice when we look at properties, some of them will be offering $1. Some of them will be offering bonuses of $10,000. Now, if there's a bonus, I'll pass it on to you guys, go buy furniture with it. The fee that will come from the proceeds of this sale will be 3.5 and 1.75, okay? And the only way that happens is if I find you a home that you love at a price that you're excited to pay. This is the only way I make any money. So you're in the driver's seat. But those are the fees. Here's all the value. Now here's the cost. Number one, to charge premium fees on the buy side, you need to sign an agreement. You cannot do it otherwise. You can't modify the commission that's being offered on the MLS without a pre-signed agreement that gives you that authority. So that's number one. Number two, you got to set the expectations with folks that sometimes there's going to be listings that are not offering 3.5 and 1.75. In fact, that's most likely going to be the case. In which case, there's an extra document we'll be signing, which gives me the authority to negotiate on your behalf with this extra fee. Cool? Yes. Again, as long as you position it and frame it that at no point will they be paying a fee unless they get a home they love at a price that they're excited to pay. That's it. Otherwise, you don't earn a paycheck. You're at $0. They're in the driver's seat. And thirdly, you got to negotiate these deals in person. Number one, it would be out of integrity for you to charge more if you're not willing to take this step. I honestly believe you don't have no business charging more unless you're willing to slow the process down and negotiate old school. Pretend they're carbon copy contracts like they were when Terry was running wild with his Superman costume on. Okay? You got to negotiate in person. By the way, you need to do this anyway because if you just scan or fax or send email an offer over with extra fees, the very first thing the other realtor is going to do is stroke it out. They're going to counter with the fees cut because you didn't justify it. You place no value in advance of the cost, right? So you have to go there in person and you have to sit down with the other side and say, I'm not going to read this offer to you line by line. There's a few things I want to point out. You'll share a few things about what's on the addendum. You'll share a few things about the dates, the inclusions, and anything that's cute. And then you'll say, by the way, you're going to notice on there's a little clause about our fee. So our fee whenever we represent a buyer is 3.5 on the first 100, 1.75 on the balance. Now, you guys are offering 3.5 and 1.5 on the MLS. So I just wanted to help you understand what that quantifiable difference is. We're talking about 1/4 point. And that 1/4 point amounts to $1,800 or whatever it is. You do the math for them. So I wanted to point that out. Now, I also don't want to make this fee the focal point of the negotiation. I want you guys to negotiate with that in mind because how it works at our firm is we sit down with our folks, we share what our buyer services are, and they authorize us to negotiate this fee in any deal that we do, whether it's for sale by owner, com-free, 1% realty, 2% realty, 3% realty, doesn't matter. This is the fee that we charge to provide buyer level services. So if we could just acknowledge that, and then please let's not stroke it out or make it the focal point. I know that you probably feel like you guys are paying the fee, and then it probably feels like I'm asking you to pay more. The reality of it is you're not paying the fee. The fee falls from the proceeds of the sale, okay? So this comes down to that question. Who is paying the fee? Everybody has this feeling. The seller certainly thinks they're paying the fee, right? They believe that. And the buyer, they believe they're the ones bringing the money. They're paying the fee. If there wasn't any realtors, surely they'd get a better deal, right? So the buyer feels like they're the one bringing the cash, so they're paying the fee. And the seller's saying, well, it's my equity, so I'm paying the fee. The reality of it is neither are correct. The only honest and true answer to this is the fees fall from the proceeds of the sale, okay? That is it. Okay? This is a very, very important piece because it's what allows people to kind of step back from the emotion of, I'm not paying more. It's like, listen, the fees will fall from the proceeds of the sale. You will negotiate based on the net dollars that you need. My folks will negotiate based on the most they're willing to pay. And that is how this will happen. If we can get you to the point where you're both happy, then both your realtor and my realtor can make our fee. That's it. It's the only honest answer. You can't sit in front of someone and say, don't worry, my buyer's paying. That's not how we do it. You can't say that. It's not true.
So if I understand correctly, yeah, everything you just said, you including it in the offer and you're negotiating with that in mind. If the seller ultimately refuses, do you charge your buyers?
Nope. Not in the habit of charging the buyers, no. Could I, based on the contract? Yes, but we don't. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing to me is that we have clients for life. And I think that's a bad taste in the mouth at the end if you get dinged at this closing, at the statement of adjustments and there's $1,200 there or $2,200 for fees that you didn't get. I don't think it's a good look.
So essentially you use that written agreement as leverage in the negotiating to get that fee from the seller.
Exactly, yep.
Proceeds of the sale.
Yep, so.
Permission leverage, right? It gives you legal right to be able to try and negotiate a deal that has both your fee and
We went through this for a long time because we would often be going up against realtors that didn't want to pay it. And so we had to get it tested by council, the local board, everybody, and say, like, what needs to be true for everybody to get their heads around this? Because we're going to continue to do it. We were not going to back off on this. And they basically said, must be signed in advance, right? Your client must be, if we interviewed them, must have to acknowledge that you had the conversation around it, around how fees get paid. And they said, the other task that you're going to have is you're going to have to educate the other realtor and have them not make it a focal point so that you don't have to keep going back to your client and asking them to unstroke it out and put it back in, because that's goofy. So you got to front run that objection. You got to let the other realtor know, hey, listen, we all have different business models. Oh, and by the way, and here's the antidote. If you ever present an offer on one of my listings, and I hope you do, feel free to ask for 3.5 and 1.75. You will receive zero friction from me ever. Come with 5%. If you sit down and you make a buyer presentation so good that your buyers are willing to sign an EBA that says you're getting 5 points, bring it. I will get it for you. No problem, right? That's it. Like, I'm not asking you to do something I wouldn't do for you. The fact that no one else has made the decision to charge more is not my problem. I'm offering more, we deserve more, and this is how we get it. So when you frame your buyer, you can say, with our services, one of the benefits is every buyer we have is what we call an educated buyer. They've gone through a whole market education period, and so they come in with proper expectations. They're fully pre-approved. We bring them through a whole pre-approval process, right? They've been educated and had proper expectations set around the age of your furnace, your roof, your hot water tank, all those things. And so our deals don't fall apart. The industry average says 30% of deals fall apart. Ours, we outperform that by a massive percentage, right? So. Go for it.
So, I'm representing the seller.
Yes.
And the listing that offered to the selling agent is advertised on MLS.
Yes.
What you're saying here is that when you get the negotiation table, the selling agent wants more commission?
Yep.
Okay. So, they ask for it. They have the right to ask.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you present it to the seller when the seller knows how much the total commission is? I understand the part that you show your buyers extra value that they should pay for it, but not the seller.
But who's paying?
Well, the seller feels like they're paying because
Sure.
that's in the listing agreement. It's
Sure.
just a question.
Yeah, no, it's if.
I would rather go with the
Yeah.
higher listing commission, and then people who represent buyers get more listings. And
Yeah, I understand, but you're not going to convince this room to all start offering more. So therefore you won't get it on the buy side very often. So the challenge that you have is that it will never be offered. You have to get it. First of all, you have to convince your buyers you're worth it. Then you have to have a process to get it. I'm telling you what ours is. It is a little bit more cumbersome than going with the flow, as you mentioned. However, it's worth it. And do you get it all the time? No. But you get it enough times that it makes a massive difference in your net pay. And with these deals, you have to be able to articulate the value to everybody, all the different stakeholders, right? So the realtor needs to understand why they want to work with you instead of a different deal. Their homeowner wants to understand why they want to work with your buyer and with us instead of a different deal. You have to do the job of selling why they're better off, okay? The fees, they fall from the proceeds. So you tell them, it's the same, if somebody objects to our commission and they say, I won't pay that, I'll ask them first. I said, is this about what we make or is this about what you net? First, I need to isolate the objection, just so I understand. Because there are people out there, I have met them, who just think realtors make way too much money and they will not pay, and you can't change their mind. But most people, their concern is actually just how much they're going to walk away with in their jeans at the end of the day. So you have to ask, just so I understand where you're coming from, is this about like our compensation, or is this about you needing enough money in your jeans at the end of the day to walk away and feel clean?
100%, but if the offer is an offer,
Yes.
the seller feels that the extra commission they have to pay is less money in their pocket.
Yep.
That's the idea. And I'm talking from experience because I have a lot of listings. And then this happened to me, and instead of having the sellers focus on the offer and price terms, they focus on that thing that the selling agent is asking for money.
Yep. So, and that's where you would have to say to them the same thing. Say, listen, at the end of the day, this comes down to how much money we net, right? So my job is going to be to try to negotiate you the best possible deal I can on this deal. They have, their buyer, who's bringing them money, has authorized us to negotiate in this pathway, which is with this much commission. So we'll have to make our counter offer representative of what we need, because it's not about what they need. We know what they need, they've told us. Now we're going to go back with what we need. So you get an opportunity to counter. And that counter offer can have your number. Now what will happen, and I'm just telling you this from experience, what will happen is by the time this has gone back a couple times, the commission's no longer part of the conversation, and it's a regular negotiation, and the better negotiator is going to win. And so back to my point is I can quantify that even with my extra fee, my buyers pay less than 3% on average. They have a better than a 3% discount on average. I can quantify that. So I can stand tall knowing that even with that fee in place, I'm still going to do a better job. It's your job on the listing side to have the same, right? And you could say, and then what happens is, if you get a buyer that comes to you, and if you are a good negotiator and you're standing tall and you can position your people as needing the deal less than the buyer's agent, then they're going to be the one to capitulate on that fee. They'll do it, because you're going to dig your heels in at a certain point. And it is what it is. That's why I say you don't get it every time. The best negotiator will win, or the person who needs the deal less.
The way you present it to the seller, you just say, is a really good agent, and then it's going to fit together, so I think we should go for it.
Yeah, we want to work with this agent. By the way, they're the only offer we've got right now. And this is the service that they offer, and this is what they charge. And we want their complete and undivided attention. We want to keep this agent happy. So this is what's going to take. So we'll just counter offer what we need. Let's stop worrying about what he's getting paid. Here's your estimation of net, which we have to do anyway, right? So now we fill that out. Here's where you'd be netting if we accepted this offer. How far below is that from what you'd be willing to accept? And then you go back. But yeah, the idea, again, is just to get them to focus on net dollar. The good news for everybody here, unless you guys are negotiating with each other, and I hope you all take my advice, but odds are you probably won't. The good news is, as listing agents, you will not encounter this very often. You just won't, because most buyer's agents are going to do what buyer's agents do, which is just charge what everybody else charges. So I think a lot of the conversation around what do we do if we're representing a seller is kind of wasted energy, because it's going to happen so seldom unless you're already a discount brokerage, in which case you're going to see it a lot. But if you're charging 7 and 3 and offering 3.5, 1.5, it's going to be 99 times out of 100. You're just going to have no conversation about it. There's an unlimited number of things that you could do to justify a bigger fee. What I want to open your mind to is the idea that we should all be competing on value and not price.